Farina, right over there.
What was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just...
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I hope...
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you?
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were, disturbing my enjoyment of the arts? They even dare to tout their Archon! I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize it. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Maréchal say... Of course not!
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are... That's against the rules.
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her! This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here! Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them come...
What?
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. I merely gave in to the You're right.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be. It's...
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that.
Yeah, I hope you're... But the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Teyvat, searching for clues. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, they'll give up, indeed. I've thought about giving up so many times. Especially after fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It happened just now. It all became clear to me. As long as the final moment hasn't come, don't worry. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden. Don't take any of what I just said seriously.
Come on!
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Teyvat from beyond the stars, yes. In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator. If that's the case...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may...
So, this is what it is. Do not forget, however, that I am Fosalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself.
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your...
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly...
Lady Farina.
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not always an indication of surrender.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is you are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly... But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true... This time, applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine!
Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making...
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her crimes? Also, even though she's still acting
All right, then. Who will be...
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tevat, my accuser and... Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question, just how much work did you do to...
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since it...
Navia, the president of...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members. Waiting for the perfect opportunity, the people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a... Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait.
So, you mean...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally...
That's right. That house was a magic box.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epic, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Aranias. Was an Archon. In my thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary... Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. We had to select a location, construct the...
So, in other words, the earthquake that...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, you gathered a crowd, prepare to stay also that as soon...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you... As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage. Oh? It's fine. It matters not. What's done, the stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. Oh, wait. Then that means this document is a perfect timeline of... So in other words, we can refer to this and let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervylette. There's no need to just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. Of course, it is only natural for humans.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking our duty, but...
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since... See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, and if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
That doesn't sound right. First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even...
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
Neverlet sensed it too, huh?
Lady Farina is actually...
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to...
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have... Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That for centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal.
That doesn't... You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise...
Didn't I make myself clear at the time?
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current... While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the... You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's...
I never thought...
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand that instead of having been created by...
The real Hydro Archon. Well, now you're real... It is true that I did not know what... But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And it has been... You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
If that poses a concern,
You don't need to go...
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or...
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power. Thus did I...
Isn't that?
Yeah, no matter how...
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't... I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you love, please.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a...
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our ancestors?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then if you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then what grounds have you to say that—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? Seems like she really doesn't want to give up. It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea. And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, if we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you, I do hope you'll act prudently and choose—
Navia from the Spina di Rasula.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontaine.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the—
She's just staring at the water without saying—
What's going on? Is she really planning—
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you—
What?
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now?
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin.
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds.
Please announce the results of your evaluation.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of how she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure.
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady—
Oh, wait. What did she—
Well, however, after extensive discussion, we exchanged— We don't want—
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina, it's a great thing that the direct—
Listen to me, everyone. Please don't think about it. How can you conclude— Also, if I was really just— Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your art—
I don't think anything she says at this point—
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think—
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway me to just too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the chart. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a...
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: to be punished via the death...
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been...
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth. How did things escalate this quickly?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was all but now. The Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! Oh, you finally made it.
Any mission.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately...
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of... But has the trial already concluded? Then...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing...
Huh? So what do you see? What
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stones. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? doesn't quite... That doesn't... That doesn't... That doesn't...
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
That doesn't...
It's not as when no
That doesn't... That doesn't...
Perhaps what is about the true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervalet mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celeste.
That doesn't... That doesn't...
We know from the case of the serial and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro... This might be the reason that
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence... The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The stone slate's content can all be verified by recent events. If we combine... Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now, but then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not...
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to...
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like when Navia fell in? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon... Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But now that the slate collection is complete, I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro, not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiar. She poured primordial. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine...
So we were all Oceanids?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard his... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all...
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian. But
alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are... A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not... The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, in truth, everything we've done has happened.
what should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth...
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath... However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
It was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the opera house? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well that whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rise. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of... Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next...
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come...
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for... From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature...
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special... Anyway, now that...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not... We've already done everything we can, and we've come so far.
Indeed. That's not how a great...
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future.
What's happening with the aura trees?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question...
Fusolo. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles.
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this confounding conundrum. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she let... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although she is, In a sense, me in human form. I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years. And all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time. Take it easy. Take it easy.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my Augustus. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from my performance. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, display the utmost elegance and... Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough. I'll settle this. Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Gotcha. Take it easy. Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am...
Wait a moment. You're... mirror me? How can this be?
Mirror you.
Mirror me. What do you...
The prophecy. Have you heard?
What prophecy? Wait. the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the high...
Oh.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember...
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come to Fontaine sooner or later. Things will develop just as the prophecy declared. There is...
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontainian just like the...
Oh, don't worry. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. Goodness, you frightened me. You spoke so much and with so much certainty. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was, why do I have to be the one to suffer? But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side, and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
You truly are the perfect human. My ideal. I suppose this would also be...
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play
as a god.
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. You must never... If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way.
But how will I do this?
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself... Being a human yourself, remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity, but contending.
I'm still not sure I understand. So, how long am I going to have to play this role?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, many years. But I promise you, all will eventually end.
A trial, huh? The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession. What should I say to most appear like a god? Ladies and I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken... In truth, I know little about becoming a nation. As the god Focalor, the god of justice, I shall do all within my power to lead you into an age. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them to the Maison Cardinalise. The future of Fontaine will require us to work together, after all. This should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey...
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the end.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison-backed puppet.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Right. Mirmi said that I just need... Calm down, Farina. Think. Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to... Well, it seems that you would all see right through. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a date. Now then, let us be...
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were...
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, we have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, the scales of justice should not weigh heavy. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. There is no trouble in so long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within...
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Besides, none of these...
If I may be so impertinent, what kind of trial are you
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to end all things.
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought, Lady Archon.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duty.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Long have you stood in line to meet me, have you not? Oh, I'm afraid that's just an... All right. Deoteria, is it? How is your son's...
You remembered me. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was the one who forced me...
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again in the future, please do not hesitate to come and tell me. Going down to citizens' homes every so often, while not usual practice, should serve as a fine change of pace.
Oh, you're such a gentle and wise god.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports.
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did already expect this. All manner of signs indicate that...
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute...
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm...
Finally over. But it's good to see that everything's getting... Maybe this is fine.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the
There'll be no need...
Lady Farina, I've waited
Indeed, my dear Lloyd.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. I don't think I feel utterly...
Lady Farina, it's... I've heard that the first member of our family who is...
And what a fine family yours is indeed. It brings me great joy to meet such a... What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Really? This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god.
No wonder. No.
So, hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps I never imagined that it would hurt if I reached my limit. No. I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. But would that not destroy all I've done so far? I've conducted so many investigations across the centuries. But there's not even a sliver of hope that we might break the prophecy. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this act. It is the only way to save Fontaine. Please, mirror me.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people are more...
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from...
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can just share it with me.
A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator, aren't you? If that's the case... He's right, but... if things don't play out as expected, the people of Fontaine will be the ones to pay the price. No, Farina, you shouldn't... But what if... Farina, you've worked so hard for so long. Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find someone if you let this opportunity think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina, the Archon of Fontaine. Everything will surely get better. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my performance until the curtains fall.
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most tragic fate. It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half the truth. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is the...
Good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the...
I beg your...
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down... I mean, did you think my work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnity? But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device, the vast majority had to be...
It was all part of your plan, then? Both the...
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia, and...
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now... Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontanians as humans and their right to exist in this world would be Fontaine's original justice. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation of that existence. Defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we, Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see at last. I now understand the truth. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding. You are a devious one, Focalors. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be...
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Neuvillette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection?
But since...
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment.
Didn't you say to...
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, and now we should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Come with me, traveler.
But how are we going to do that? It's huge!
I've already done my best to separate the power from my weapons. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall clear the part of the future dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together. The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Let me leave you a protect busted.
Out of my way! The Temple of Wisdom! I see everything! Dissipate!
Take it easy.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but... oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder. I suppose I'll have to swing my sword 3 million times as penance.
That power...
Hyman has an idea. From what she said earlier, it's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is its looks. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk?
The point being...
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, child's master's master.
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sertologi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master is insufficiently famous. How should I describe him then?
The Foul?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary? Vetterfulnir then? Or Gold...
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhine-Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually know them either. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhindaughter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite catch their name.
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Hey! Help! Over here! All hands, initiate emergency rescue! Hurry! Hey, lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Are you alright?
Yeah.
We're saved.
The prophecy was wrong.
The soil renewed! The Sweena Divasula tax post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Post Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia Stick Skyship Winglet, boon or bane of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the end. People always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter person Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports!
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The value for these big scoops, Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia...
Paimon's curious too!
And that's exactly... Oh, this time we'll...
Take it easy.
Navia!
Oh, it's you.
Hey, Princess...
I'm here to update my...
Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snezhevich. Our residents are hard at work as well.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. I especially like that article you wrote last year about Fontaine's stray cats. But if you don't mind, could you not emphasize our role too much in your report? It's not charity we're doing here. We just
I get where you're coming from. I'll keep it as simple as possible. Or would you be
That would be fine. Thanks.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the construction materials. It'll be another hour before the workers are able to go over there.
Huh? You're here too, Clorian?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few
Forget it.
I see you're...
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few more photos of me.
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the photo, gather up.
How did it go? Was it a good shot?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the... Also, not to brag, but wow, you really...
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the Fortress of Meripede.
Whoa, you're well informed. Let me make a guess too. I asked Sijuin, who told Monsieur Nervillette, and he told you, right?
That's a...
In truth, all Monsieur Nervillette asked me was, when did the fortress become so friendly towards the media? I told him that it was best not to speak too soon.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them. In which case, I'll be making a...
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear anything interesting. I'll treat you to afternoon...
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgic feeling to this.
Looks like you've been missing us.
Duke! Did you come all the way to the entrance to greet us?
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and,
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke. Thank you for consenting to...
No need to thank me. But that said, I shouldn't be the focus of your interview.
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no need to to be so nervous?
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her.
Sir, please don't.
But it looks like dear Mr. Jurier did.
No, I just.
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did the boat that brought about a miracle, the ark that saved. Still, if I might ask.
Huh. Looks like Shadow.
I have to apologize, but that ship is presently in the.
Really? Well, then in that case.
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps you'd like to take another photo.
Did you really have to use the word cup? Well, then, 2 solo photos will do.
Is my hair messed up? Please.
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. We've seen this kind of thing before. Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to...
See...
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Sure. Come on, Miss Sijuin. Over this way. Let's find a brighter spot.
Sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the front?
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone some changes, but this place is still more or less the same.
Other than that flying ship.
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct more public opinions toward the behind-the-scenes heroes. Am I right, Mr. Jurier? Miss Lorvine?
You're too kind, sir. I believe that you too should have your day in the sun.
I'll just leave the spotlight to you two. I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh? Anyway, regarding that Harbinger, I'm not sure you remember, but his 3 young followers are still waiting for his return.
He sure did win them over, huh?
I'll tell them that there's good news and bad news. The good being that their boss seems fine, and the...
Oh, actually...
What change can there be? The fortress will keep chugging along, and so will my duties. As to what Miss Farina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to the folks in the overworld.
Hey everyone, the photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day here.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go.
There'll be an...
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a... All right. Last stop, the docks. Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with...
Traveler, Paimon. And Miss Charlotte.
Would you like a magic pocket? What sort of gadget is it? It's a wondrous bag. Trick a friend. You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine? To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have your...
Oh. Lynette sure is working hard to help Fremine socialize.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist in our magic shows.
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Paris.
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out. Every journey begins with the first step.
Lynette, could you come over? Miss...
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. She got rid of everyone the moment she realized I had something to say to you. So, how have things been, Traveler? Father says that you did—
That's all right. We were more than happy to help. So, what's she doing now?
Oh, I guess you— After Lady Farina left, Father and Monsieur Nervillet opened negotiations, during which he—
A diplomatic gift?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, it could have been done as an— Furthermore, Father— I would agree, but I've also heard that it seems that Monsieur Nervillet—
So there's some reason for this that only Nervillet knows about?
I suspect you'll have to ask him about that.
Isn't he real busy and stuff? But back to the topic. The Gnosis was given to—
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that the recent disaster really did a number on his health.
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the Fatui.
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing.
Are you going to take the Gnosis back to Snip?
That is our duty as harbingers. Yeah, don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. With such a grand goal in mind, it is inevitable that we must wear many masks. Switching my masks is something I've always done. Well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty if you can't rely on it forever? As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision? All right. I'll remember to return it. Thank you for keeping it safe for him this entire time.
And that's a wrap for me. Huh? You...
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello?
That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like about our dear magicians and our upcoming rookie talent.
I will.
The sea breeze is quite pleasant.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled interviews. Thank you all. This'll be more than enough for me to write about, I'm sure.
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, Traveler, Paimon, you take one too.
To move things about?
That's right. Funny. I guess this must be life. All right then. We'll be handing out pockets and some up.
Well, guess we sent Charlotte, huh? Shall we go see her, Nervillet?
Take it easy.
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. In any case, you came at a good time.
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remembered. Alright, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually saved? The whole business is still quite the... Whoa. So that's what happened? Focalor destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored your power to you, but Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the Fontanians from dissolving.
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control. Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea, with constitutions similar to that of mimics. But so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient dragon's authority to grant them true blood, after the fashion in which life was first brought into being on this planet. In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans.
Focalor must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the... Yeah! And in a manner of speaking, Focalor finally managed to fulfill the original Hydro Archon's wish to turn Oceanids into...
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Yeah, about that. Risley said Farina has already left. What's that all about?
Ah, Lady Farina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post of Hydro Archon and left affairs related to that title to me, before leaving the Opera House. I related Focalor's words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing them, she seemed neither saddened nor comforted. She simply said that she was tired. Having said that, she then packed her things and moved out of the Opera House, not unlike how an ordinary person might.
But she's still got a place to...
You need not worry. I will make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for food, clothing, board, or travel. In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit, but now that she no longer has to play the role of Focalor the Hydro Archon, she can finally lay down her burdens and lead a normal life.
What about you then? What are your plans now that you forget...
After Focalor passed on, the Oratrice also ceased to function. This matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role in our courts. From now on, I shall hear cases and pass verdicts by myself.
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of the Udex, huh?
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power and this duty... As such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve Fontaine as it. Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has...
That's true. Wait, but the various...
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a complete substitute. Another reason why I cannot quite leave Fontaine immediately.
Wow.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the neighbor...
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this crisis. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, would seem to be the Gnosis. The Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and I do not need the Gnosis's power. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now, and avoid unnecessary conflict.
What complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving it to them.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. There, by chance, he awakened the all-devouring narwhal. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause of the disaster. At most, he would have had tangential liability. As for the judgment passed by the Oratrice during the trial, whether it was due to that liability by association or Focalor deliberately using him to buy time for us on the assumption that he would be able to hold the creature off. I cannot say.
Guess Focalor had Fontanians in mind the whole time. In the end, it was things. Hang on a second. Paimon suddenly got another. Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans, were the children they had also transformed?
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how Fontanians would often come to the Fountain of Lucine to pray for children?
Yeah, Lynette said the fountain is where all the waters
In truth, even those couples did not know that such prayers were no mere custom, but instead a form of ritual. Those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would later descend as new humans in the coming months.
Paimon sorta gets it now. Either way.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume. I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell you what I know about that land. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons? You mean like you?
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of coexistence with humanity. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the Knave that I believe may be useful to you. The Harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of war.
The Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously, everywhere you look, there's a
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's doors will always be open to you. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon still got it. When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards... We guessed that there might be some reason...
No wonder the House of the Hearth is... So regarding this specific issue, I was...
What is it?
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You hurry over soon as well, all right, Nervalet?
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here. I can finally catch the scent of your power. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons, but with something very similar to a god's curse mixed in. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before. What was it again?
I do not know what you speak of.
Of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a gnosis.
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her gnosis to me. But I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Foul, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from before. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he once had with this world shall all turn to curses.
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my personal thoughts. and my reason for no longer wishing to return to the surface.
This third descender you refer to, who are they? And when did they die?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that important for me to know. If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to pass the answer on to you next time.
Next time? You believe—
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not, I wanted to pass that information on to you.
The remains of the third descender? So that's what the no-sees actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could they be a person's remains?
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that is what she meant to say.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it. But
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by keeping it here. I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities, do indeed come from the third descender. I wonder, does your body also possess similar properties?
like being able to use elemental powers without a vision. That does sort of count as special compatibility, right? No, let's not think about this stuff right now. Comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him. Or go look for his master and get the answers that way.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking. The same is true of being at court.
Alright. Whatever the case, it seems like the crisis here—
Yes. All of Focalor's efforts were for this moment as well.
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those years as a human.
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while I too would guess that if life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. And what ultimately? It seems from your expressions that you still have more things. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I suggest that you fully prepare.
good role. Alright, maybe I'll take one more day off, and knock out the rest of the work once I'm feeling up to it.